Alright everybody, and welcome to pillar number 4. This is a pretty simple one that I call lead or bleed, and it's about firing your clients. You either have to train your clients or you have to fire them. You can do both, but you have to remember always, you're a business, not a buddy. That's what you are. You're a business, not a buddy. And here's where all of this is going. If you watch the previous pillars, you're going to notice this pattern that I started at about $25 an hour, and now I'm all the way up to $150 trip fee and more than $125 an hour for my time. And as you can imagine, I didn't get here with the same clients. The clients that hired me at $25 an hour didn't stay with me when I went to 50, didn't stay with me when I went to 80, didn't stay with me when I went to 100, 125, and 150. Throughout this entire process, I've had to do one of two things. I've had to either train my clients to respect my time and my pricing and my processes, or I've had to let them go. And if you want some numbers, these aren't exact and you may not find them to be exactly the same for you. But if you want some numbers, I would say overall, if you look at the clients that I've ended up with today, the clients that are happy to pay me $150 trip fees and or $125 or more per hour. Not that they know my hourly rate. I do not recommend charging hourly. But to get here, I would say that I have one client out of every 10 that I initially acquired. So I acquired a bunch of clients, fired most of them or lost most of them one way or another, acquired a bunch of more clients and fired or lost them. And I'm going to tell y'all a secret is I did this intentionally. I knew what I was doing throughout, and I always made sure whenever I was comfortable, I would go find myself a new client to add too much work to my plate, to make it uncomfortable, so that I was always stressed and always short on time. And yes, that wasn't the most fun, but here's the great thing, is when you have too much work, it's much easier to set your boundaries. It's much easier to go, hey, you know what? New price. This is my price now. I've got too much work. This is my price. The first client that comes and says, I'm not paying that price, and you don't have to be mean about it, but you can say goodbye if they don't like that price. Any client that doesn't respect your business or your processes or your time, you can let them go if you have too much work. Now, what I find is the most common amongst you guys out there is most of y'all don't have enough work, and because you don't have enough work, and I've been in this boat, don't think that I'm saying it's only you. I have been in this boat, and I had to learn my lesson the hard way just like many of you are. But when you don't have enough work, what do? You start underbidding jobs, you start getting desperate, you start getting scared, you have bills to pay, and you start charging less. And then sure enough, I know this is happening to you the same way it happened to me, sure enough, as soon as you go and you submit a few estimates where you kind of lowballed yourself because you were desperate for work, the moment those estimates get approved, somebody comes along willing to pay you much better money, and now you're kind of screwed. So I really highly recommend that you do like I did, and you try to make sure that you're always getting more clients such that you have too much work, and it's always easy for you to say no to the next client that gets in the way of your business, because you're going to hear me say this a lot throughout this entire channel, in the past and in the future. You cannot have a good business with bad clients. That is just a basic fundamental truth in life across all businesses. You cannot have a good business with bad clients. If you recognize your clients to be bad clients, you have to get rid of them or you have to train them. Now, what do I mean by training them? Well, I'm going to give you one example, which is that I need to remain billable at all times. If I go and give you an estimate for free, especially if you're just window shopping, but either way, if you as a client ask me for some of my time, I deserve to be reimbursed for that time. If you ask me to give you an estimate for free and I give you an estimate for free and you say no, I'm out that money, that hour, hour and a half, 2 hours, whatever amount of time I put into it at $100 an hour, I'm out that money, which means I have to take that out of my kid's mouth and out of my family's security. So what I did was I started telling my clients, I just said, hey, from now on, I'm going to start charging a trip fee for estimates, unless you can give me work that's already approved at that property. So for example, let's say you have a 10-item long punch list, and you want an estimate for that punch list. I'll give you an estimate, but to get that estimate for free, you're going to have to pick one thing on that punch list and approve that one thing, pre-approve it and say, yes, for a trip fee, I would like you to fix that thing. Maybe it's checking and replacing all the smoke detector batteries. So for a trip fee, I'll do that, and the trip fee gets me to the property. Then you can get a free estimate. But that's how I trained them, is when you start setting those standards, but more importantly, when you start sticking to those standards, and when you start respecting yourself, your business, and your policies and your processes and your time, when you start respecting yourself and your business that way, they will start doing that too. If you give in every time they ask you for a favor, they're never going to respect you in that way, and you're never going to get them trained. So here's the short story, right? You're going to start out cheap. Most of you did, I did, and you want to end up somewhere over here with a lot more revenue. The only way to get from here to here is to either get rid of the bad clients or to train them to be better clients, and that's your job. And the way that you do that is by setting your policies, setting your procedures, sticking to your guns, having your boundaries, enforcing those boundaries, not making exceptions for everybody every time they whine and complain about it, and keeping yourself so busy that it's easy to say no. And I really feel like that's the key. I cannot stress it enough. We all know that when we're not busy enough, we tend to lower our prices to make sure we can pay our bills. Keep yourself so busy that it's easy to say no, and when you can say no, and when you do say no, you open up the time to bring on those higher quality, higher paying clients. So that's number 4. Pillar number 4, lead or bleed. Train your clients or fire them because you're a business, not a buddy. I love you guys. I hope you're out there killing it, and I will see y'all on number 5.